Okay, what is going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. This is Hanging with Mangg. And this is the last normal Hanging with Mangg before I depart for 3 weeks to Europe, the great EU continent place thing that I don't know much about, but I'm going anyways. Yeah, so I got one last day here, and then tomorrow at like 10:30 in the morning or something, I gotta say goodbye to my cats, make sure everything's all set, and be on my way. So pretty crazy stuff. Pretty crazy stuff. Yeah. It's an adventure, no doubt.
Looks like I have to go.
So we're just doing some more Disgaea 5 today, which is pretty much all I've been playing. I got close to 100 hours in this game. Yeah, I don't know why I never tried out the series before this, but yeah, I'm definitely full in. I mean, I'm curious actually on how different each of the games are, because from what I understand, like, there's a bunch of like staples that are just in every game in the series, like Item World and leveling up to 9,999 and stuff like that. So I don't know how different it is each time, but this one, at least my first one, is very enjoyable. Alright, so as part of preparing this week for leaving, there wasn't a whole lot of videos, and I've just been kind of busy, and it's a little hectic, as you might imagine. So on this channel this week, all we really did was wrap up the Surge and Prey. And just give me a second. I gotta see. It's always something I gotta do. Gotta look up my flight information right now. Somebody's curious. I don't know. I have to look that up online. See, it's just something. British Airways. Let's see, I'm arriving in anyways, yeah, we finished up the Surge and Prey, and what happened was I was like, okay, I'm probably like pretty close to the end of both games, right? We've been playing them for a while. So I'll just try and crank both of them out in, like, you know, a video each, one stream. They'll both be like 2 hours or something like that. And so we did the Prey, and that ended up being 2.5 hours, and I actually did finish it, which I was happy about. I mean, at the time, I wasn't that happy because it was late, and I did not plan for 2.5 hours, and it was just like, ugh. And then the Surge came along, and I was like, okay, we'll just crank it out, and then 3 hours went by, and I still didn't finish it, and it would have been like another half an hour, and it was already like past 4 or something like that, so that one I just said, screw it, I'm done. I mean, I probably could have just invested another night into the Surge, and we could have just done, like, you know, an hour and a half and then another 2 hours or something like that, but yeah, apparently it was longer than I thought it was. But I wasn't a huge fan of the Surge, so that didn't help things.
This is it.
But, I mean, we're all done. So right now I have really, the only LP that I have going on is Zelda Spirit Tracks, which will start picking up speed once I get back.
Choose a destination.
And that's kind of it. There was a couple games that came out, little indie games that I wanted to maybe do, but I didn't really want to start anything at all before I leave, so we will hold off until I get back, and then we'll just kind of determine what's going on, what's on the plate, and what we want to do. But Zelda will most likely be involved. So. On the Exploring series this week, on Monday I released the Wookiee video, which did not perform too well as far as view counts go, but I guess I didn't really expect it to at all. And then this week I got to work on the Gray Jedi video, and if I can just be honest, and I like to be honest, I think the Gray Jedi video is one of the weakest that I've ever done of anything.
Looks like I have to go.
I don't know, I just feel like,
Go. I see stars.
you know,
Go.
it was voted on, right? And before the polls, people had mentioned, like, oh, do Gray Jedi, they're cool. I was like, oh yeah, Gray Jedi, that's cool, that's fine, I'll do that. And then, you know, as I'm working on the video, I just felt like, shouldn't there be more? Like, shouldn't there be more to these Gray Jedi? There's really not a lot of material at all with the Gray Jedi. And I'm not just saying in, you know, canon or non-canon, like, at all, there's just not much. They don't exist in canon. In non-canon, there's just, like, yeah, there's little bits and pieces, but not really as much as people want. Fan fiction, there's plenty. A lot of people come up with stuff for Gray Jedi. They have come up with, like, Gray Jedi orders and all that, but that's not anything, so I can't talk about that. Maybe, you know, a lot of people are thinking that in The Last Jedi, that Luke is starting, like, a Gray Jedi order or something like that, and that will be something to talk about, but I can't talk about that now. So, I don't know, I just did the whole video. I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something. Like, I'm retarded, and there's just some huge thing that I just am not aware of that I should be putting in this video, but yeah, it's not a tremendously long video, and I don't know, I just feel like it lacks substance at all, but I don't feel great about it, but that doesn't mean a whole lot, I guess. It could still get a lot of views, so. It is what it is, and there it is, it's done, so that will come out tomorrow. I also, on Patreon now, I've posted all 3 videos for when I'm gone. The Nazgul, Elder Sign, and Boba Fett.
Choose a destination.
So Patreon backers right now are getting all 4 videos to watch. And then while I'm on vacation, I'll just go on my phone and just mark the ones as public whenever, you know, the day comes around. Should be pretty simple. Other than that, I just get to kind of enjoy my break of just no lore, no research, no nothing like that. Unfortunately, I have to go visit, like, museums and shit. I ain't here to learn.
I see it.
I'm on a vacation from learning. Yeah, so that's all that. When I get back, we'll have one more Star Wars video at least. I don't know. There might actually be a couple more now that I'm thinking about it, because I get back July 2nd. And
choose a destination.
I go to Gen Con the first week of August, right? And so we leave for Gen Con on a Wednesday, which pretty much cuts out like my whole week of work that I normally do. So I'd either have to really rush a video that week, or I could just hold off and do the poll that week, the big poll for deciding the next series, in which case I can basically take the week off and just the channel is focused on sorting out the poll, which would be a lot easier for me for that week. So we might extend Star Wars a little bit longer than I thought, until the third week of July, and then we can do the poll and sort all that out, and then that'll be fine. That'll probably be fine.
Looks like I have to go. Looks like I have to go. Go.
Yeah, I guess that's that for the channels. Let's see here. Board game. So, okay, so Dungeon World board game. We obviously, if you've been paying attention at all, we didn't do any Dungeon World or Sprawl or anything like that this week. Because we were planning to, you know, we wrapped up Dungeon World. We were planning to do like a one-shot of the Sprawl. But, like Wednesday got cut out and we didn't do anything Wednesday. People were busy. And I guess Ziggy was just not prepared to do anything ready. I don't think he's read the book yet for Sprawl. To be honest, I don't think he's even watched my video yet of the Sprawl. So we just kind of finished character generation on Monday, so that was not streamed at all. And then we just played a board game. We played Stockpile, which it's not a really complicated game at all. It's a pretty simple, fairly light game, but they all enjoy it, and it was fine, I guess. Aside from that, just a lot of Netrunner this week. Plenty of Net, pretty much every day, Netrunner. Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, it's a good game. Well, yeah, it's a really great game on its own. But the theme, you know, the whole cyberpunk, Shadowrun type-esque stuff that I just love, I mean, that pushes it just in the top tier for me. If I didn't care for cyberpunk at all, yeah, it would be a good card game, but it just wouldn't be as good as I think it is. Shit. So basically what happened was, you know, my mom and I started playing again, Netrunner, and we were enjoying it, and, you know, I'm a compulsive person, so, you know, I start buying new cards and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, Netrunner, fuck yeah, yeah. And, of course, you know, I get new cards, and then I want to use new cards. So I start putting together new decks. You know, I read all about the new decks and the cool combos and all that. And so I'm playing these crazy decks, and I'm pulling off these sick Netrunner combo wombos. And I just start utterly crushing my mom. Like, she just cannot keep up with this. And so she just loses like 10 games in a row or something like that. And so she just starts to kind of dislike the game, and then that's when we kind of realize we moved way too fast. We just can't do that. Where it's not really fun for either of us. You know, I liked all the combos, and I liked all the cool new cards and stuff like that, but it's not really fun if you're just decimating your opponent every single match. So what we did is we went back to just the core set, teaching decks, really simple stuff, nothing too complicated, and it's still pretty fun for me because Netrunner, as by its design, is just a fun game. And she can compete a lot more. I think she won a game last night. She came very close, a bunch of games. And now with my 3-week break, she's going to forget everything anyway, so it would have been kind of pointless to just slam her with all this complicated stuff. So it's yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
This is it.
Not much else to really say. I thought about signing up for, I guess I didn't really talk about Gen Con. We handled all our events for Gen Con this year. We pre-ordered tickets for all the events. We didn't really do that at all last year, except for the Dice Tower Live, which we did take care of last year. So we got Dice Tower live again. We're definitely in that, no problem, which is a highlight of Gen Con. The one event that we really wanted to get in this year, though, was True Dungeon. Which is really, like, the most popular sort of event, I guess, at Gen Con. I'm not really sure why, because we haven't done it, but supposedly, and yeah, it's very popular. So, what it is, from my understanding,
Choose a destination.
is kind of a LARP, but not really. There's really not any role-play necessary on your part at all, and you're not, like, I don't think you're expected to role-play.
Looks like I have to go.
I guess it's like a live-action... I guess, yeah, live-action D&D. Which you might think is the same thing as a LARP, live-action roleplay, but I think they focus a bit more on just doing, like, puzzles, and then, like, a strange form of combat. I don't know exactly how the combat functions. I thought it involved, like, some sort of shuffleboard, or I don't know. But there are, like, actors in there that kind of guide you along, and there's supposedly puzzles, and you do combat, and I don't know. It's very, very popular, so people must like it, right? So we wanted to get involved in it because everyone, you know, last year True Dungeon was all over the place. People were talking about True Dungeon, but I mean, you have to order your tickets pretty much immediately to get into this. It's very popular. So we did, you know, we said last year, okay, next year when we go, we're gonna get True Dungeon tickets right away. We're gonna get involved. We're gonna do this. Well, that might have happened, but I don't know if you can really blame me entirely. I think we're all to blame because we all knew that the tickets were going to be available on this day. We talked about it. We said, oh, we should do an event that day where we all get together and order our tickets and blah, blah, blah. But we all forgot about it. Nobody mentioned it, and I was the first one to notice and remember. So, of course, almost all the True Dungeon events were sold out. All but about 4 of them. And so it's like, okay, what's wrong with these 4 that they didn't get sold out immediately either? Well, it's because it's not, these events are not True Dungeon. These events are True Grind, which is apparently like the expert mode of True Dungeon. They say on there it's for experienced players only. There's no puzzles, it's pure combat, and it's like their hardest versions of combat. And it's just, yeah, it's like hard mode of True Dungeon. So you think a lot of people in our position would just be like, ah, that sucks, next year, I guess. But no, we didn't want to give up just there. So we said, well, let's sign up for this True Grind, even though we have no idea how True Dungeon operates. We have no knowledge of the rules whatsoever. Fortunately, this must be a somewhat recent thing, but they do now a True Dungeon 101, which it's like an hour-long seminar where they teach you how to play. So we figured, okay, we'll do the True Dungeon 101, and then the next day we can do the True Grind, and we'll see how it goes. Now, personally, I think this is going to be an utter disaster. I think that we're going to show up there. There's going to be other people that have probably done True Dungeon for the last 10 years. Because we're in a group of 10 people. There's only 5 of us, so there's going to be other people involved. And they're going to assume, like, okay, we're going to make a real attempt here. We're going to do True Grind. It's going to be great. Little do they know that they get us with them, who have really no idea how the game plays. But, you know, we wanted to do some sort of true thing this year, so that's what we got. Yeah, just gotta confirm some things.
This is it.
Um,
I'll do it.
where was I?
I'll do it.
Right. So okay. So Gen Con. Yeah. True Grind. I think it'll be a disaster. I don't think we'll really like it, to be honest. Because it doesn't really seem like True Dungeon. It seems like just for the hardcore fanatics that tried out True Dungeon are like, this isn't ridiculous and hard and, you know, luck based enough. I don't know.
I see it.
Like, get all these stupid elaborate puzzles out of my face. I just want to play shuffleboard against ogres, or I don't know. The fact that it wasn't booked immediately like everything else gives me bad signals. And I didn't really want to voice that to the group because they were all fine with, you know, they wanted to do some True Dungeon type stuff because we joked about it for last year about the True Dungeon.
This is it.
So I didn't want to dump all over their hopes, and I think it is cheaper than the True
Choose a
Dungeon, so
destination.
we'll give it a try, I guess. The other events that we booked were Artemis, which is the sort of spaceship simulator type thing, which we did last year, and we all enjoyed quite a bit. And so this year they have, I don't know, they might have had it last year, but we just didn't know about it or what. But this year we ordered tickets for like their more elaborate setup where they actually have like walls and stuff. Like last year it was just like a bunch of it just looked like a room full of LAN parties basically. And there were other people yelling all over the place. It wasn't an ideal setup. So this year we probably wouldn't have done it, but we saw that they had better setups, so we'll give that a try again. But Phil decided not to join the team. He said he didn't order tickets. He doesn't want to do it because he goes to some weird little convention in Wisconsin where he's done it like 5 times and he's done with it. And it's like, well, that's great because now we get another random person. So now we got 3 random people. Last year we had 2 random kids with us when we did it, and I was the captain, and they didn't listen to a damn word I said. You got 2 little shits there that are just mouthing off and just saying nonsense the whole time. It's just like, God, I'm the captain. Look at me, I'm the captain now. Anyway, so we signed up for that. That should be hopefully fun. Dice Tower Live, of course. We signed up for a coup tournament, the coup U.S. National Tournament, which sounds really official and funny that the fact we haven't played coup in like, 8 months or something like that. But last year we just jumped into a Liar's Dice tournament, and it was, we went out like the first round, all of us, but, we had a little fun with it, and it wasn't like a huge deal, and we wanted another event, and so we figured, cool, that could be fun. We'll actually, like, we're gonna practice in July for the coup tournament when I get back, so, I don't know, we're not gonna win, of course, we're not that serious about coup, but, it could be entertaining enough. That might be it. Unless I'm forgetting something. I think it's 5 events we signed up for. So, including the Dungeon, True Dungeon 101. So, we didn't really want to overload our schedule with events. That's not really a good idea because you're going to want to wander around a lot. You're going to just want to play games, like, new games and games you buy and things like that. Maybe try to get into some random demos and stuff like that. So you don't want to overbook. But you want to sign up for something because there is a lot of cool events going on and things like that. So I think, like, we got 2 Thursday, 2 Friday, and 1 on Saturday, and that seems pretty good. You know, I got a nice suite at the hotel this year, which should have a big table for us to play board games at. So that should be nice. Yeah, just you know, a few days of just eating out and food trucks and lots of board games, and should just be a good time like last year. We really enjoyed last year.
Looks like I have to go.
So yeah, that's another vacation a little bit after I get back from this big vacation. So what else? What else?
Go.
Not much else to say, I guess.
Go.
I saw.
Go.
What did I see? What did I see this week? There was a movie. There was a horror. The Mummy. Yes, saw The Mummy this week. So Ziggy and I are tremendous fans of Brendan Fraser's Mummy Returns. They're just pure entertaining films. You know, they're designed to be just fun, and they accomplish that goal tremendously. And really, like, they're just like a perfect Call of Cthulhu campaign, just in film. You know, in like 1920s type stuff. You got, you know, secret rituals going on, and like, you know, especially like the first movie, and you've got all these different like plagues happening, you know, these different horrific events occurring, and there's just like research involved at library. You have a librarian character. It's really just like a Call of Cthulhu movie. The sequel, you kind of get into the globe trotting one a little bit more, and that's pretty exciting. And yeah, it's just very fun movies. So I mean, been a fan of those films for most of my life. So, you know, when they're coming out with another Mummy movie, of course we had to see it, and we probably would have just seen it on a $5 Tuesday, of course, but I'm obviously leaving tomorrow, and so it was kind of a send-off so that I could actually see The Mummy in theaters. So we went on Friday, opening night, and that was just, it was a very nice gesture of them, because I did really want to see it. I didn't want to watch it at home, so in like 3 months or whatever. So it got shit on by critics, of course, and I watched the Cinemassacre review of it. James and Mike talked about it, and they chat all over it. Well, you know, James is always a little kinder than Mike is. And so he said it was watchable. Mike said it was just bad. And our opinion when we came out was that it was watchable. That's pretty much what you can say about it. It's certainly not as good as the Brendan Fraser film, at least the first couple ones. It might be better than Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. But, you know, most stuff is. The biggest problem with The Mummy, the new one, is it's kind of a confused film. It doesn't really know what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to be a horror movie, or an action movie, or an adventure movie. You know, it doesn't know if it really wants to be lighthearted at all, but it doesn't really want to be that heavy of a dark movie. It's just kind of all over the place a little bit. There are comedic moments, but I wouldn't call it a comedic movie. There are kind of horror moments, but I wouldn't call it a horror movie. Now, you might say the same about the first Brendan Fraser Mummy, which had comedic moments, but wasn't a comedy. And it had horror moments, but it wasn't a horror movie. The thing where the Mummy movies, the Brendan Fraser ones, excelled was that they were just adventure movies. You know, they had that kind of lighthearted undertone throughout pretty much the whole film. where nothing ever really got too heavy because there was always these moments of brevity. I think Tom Cruise's Mummy tries to do that a little bit, but most of the comedy falls flat on its face, and that kind of hurts it. You know, Tom Cruise... Well, I mean, Tom Cruise is a great actor, don't get me wrong. I do like him a lot, and I think without him, this movie would have been a disaster. With him, it's watchable. The kind of comedic relief character that they got, he was just not good. Just not good. I don't think many people praise his performance or the writing for his character, and he was meant to be sort of the funny part. So yeah, that did not work. Tom didn't have that many funny lines himself, and I think he did the best he could, but the script was really not that great.
Choose a destination.
You know, they tried to do this sort of romantic thing a little bit between Tom Cruise and the main attractive female, of course, and that was just kind of ridiculous and not necessary at all, and they really didn't have much chemistry. It was not like Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in the other films. You had, you know, the mummy, who was a female mummy in this film, which is fine. I thought it was a little strange that, you know, Arnold Vosloo's mummy, Imhotep, he, like, sucks people dry. You know, he, like, drains their muscles and tissue and regenerates himself by just, like, inhaling in this, like, this horrific... Like, he just, like, pulls their muscles off of them and, like, just shrivels them up just through, like, you know, force of will kind of stuff like that. The female mummy, she kisses them. She kisses them and, like, she makes out with them and then they shrivel up and they die. It's like, okay, you know, why didn't Arnold Vosloo have to make out with them when he wanted to suck them dry? He could just do it like a badass. The female has to make out with the guys. And they're all guys. She doesn't drain any females. It's all just dudes she's just sucking dry. That's... You know what I mean. So, I mean, that's just like, okay. I'm sounding just like some, you know, politically correct kind of person now. But it's just something I noticed. I was like, oh, that's...
Choose a destination.
Okay, did we need that kind of change? It was cool when Arnold Vosloo did it. Anyways, I mean, I didn't really get the impression of her as a mummy, per se. You know? She was basically a demon. And I think that was like... Because she kind of made a pact with demons or something like that. She was pretty much a demon. She didn't seem very Egyptian or anything like that. I don't know. This is just probably nostalgia talking, and how much better I liked Imhotep in those films. I mean, she was kind of a fine, sort of generic villain, and they did copy some things from the other films, but yeah, could have done better. And they reveal this pretty much in the trailers, so kind of weird that they would spoil a kind of plot point like that, but I guess it does happen pretty quick in the film. You know, in the trailers you see Tom Cruise, of course, screaming as he does his scream, and the airplane goes down, and then he wakes up in the morgue, and, you know, he's basically immortal because he is like this chosen vessel for the mummy, and she is going to sacrifice him with this special dagger in order to bring forth the spirit of the god Set, so that he can inhabit this mortal vessel and, you know, take over the planet or something like that. And so Tom Cruise is basically immortal, but he's not like super powerful or anything. And
Go.
yeah, I'm not gonna spoil the ending just because whatever, but it goes in kind of a weird direction. And this is the first film pretty much in their dark universe where they want to make like a Marvel Cinematic Universe, but for all their monster characters and stuff like that. And obviously a lot of people are saying that's in jeopardy now, and I don't know, we'll have to see how well the movie does for its opening weekend to really say whether or not it's in jeopardy, but the reviews don't help it, and it's kind of a rough start either way. And so to tie all this together, they have Russell Crowe. But to be honest, I think this is the last film that Russell Crowe will appear in. Who's playing Dr. Jekyll. Which I did not know about until like the day I saw it. So he was playing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And he's basically the head of like this organization that tracks down evil and contains evil. It was basically like the SCP, but they didn't have their shit together at all. It was the SCP if they were really stupid, which is not a good thing. But he almost repeated like the SCP like mantra: secure, contain, protect. But he did like find, capture, study, destroy, or something like that. So, of course, the big question on Ziggy and I's mind before we saw the film was, is he going to turn into Mr. Hyde during the film? Because, if the movie does poorly, we might never get to see Russell Crowe perform as Mr. Hyde. And if it makes you more interested, he does turn into Mr. Hyde in the film. And so I was expecting something like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where Mr. Hyde is basically the Hulk, and it was badass. When I was like 10 years old, I thought that was badass. It's not so much that in this film. He just kind of gets maybe a little bigger, and he's got like veins all over the place, and his eyes go kind of yellowish red, and he completely changes his accent, of course. I thought Russell Crowe did a fairly decent job doing it, and I think he had. I liked it as Mr. Hyde. He was kind of an entertaining character. I'd like to see more of it. But it did feel really out of place in this film. The only reason it was there in this film was because they want to really fast track this whole universe of connected films.
Looks like I have to go.
So yeah, overall, not great. Not as bad as I think some people are saying. Like I said, it's watchable. If it was a $5 Tuesday and we went, I'd be like, alright. And then you'd move on. I don't think it's really a good idea that they're trying to make all these series of films. I just don't think that's gonna work. And I think that this film did suffer a little bit because of their attempts to do that. Yeah, it could have been better. And my biggest complaint about this whole thing is that now there's really zero chance that Brendan Fraser will get to come back for another Mummy movie, which was always my hope, is that he would kind of, get things back on track. He would sort things out. Maybe his back injury would be alleviated, or whatever they have to do in that case. And they'd bring him back for another Mummy movie. He's a bit older, maybe slows down a little bit. You bring in Chris Pratt as his buddy, and you get another good Mummy movie. That's what I wanted. But now that's never gonna happen. So that's a bummer.
Looks like I have to go. Go. I see stars.
yeah, so it is what it is. Not a terrible film, but kind of a disappointment, I guess. I think Tom Cruise is probably the best part of it, but that's not saying a whole lot, so... I will say, I guess, that Wonder Woman was better, if that makes you feel better. What else? What else? Okay, so E3 is going on. Once again, I get to miss it. I'll be on a plane and stuff like that. I did get to watch the EA one, and I will get to watch the Microsoft one in about 15 minutes, so I'm looking forward to that. And then the Bethesda one is tonight. The only one I really care about, I guess, is... I guess I care about Bethesda, sure. I really generally like Sony's, and I'm hoping From Software has an announcement, and that's, of course, the one I get to miss. I also miss Ubisoft, but no one cares about that. And then Nintendo, yeah, I usually don't watch them live anyways. So EA's conference, it's like always the same. It's the same every single year. I always watch it hoping that there's gonna be some like cool new announcement, but it's pretty much always the same shit. It's always just a lot of sports, some Battlefield, maybe something teased from BioWare, and then some more sport. Oh, and racing. A lot of racing games, of course. And that's pretty much exactly what this conference was. The highlights, I guess, were the YouTuber guy choking when he was introducing Need for Speed Payback, which is funny because I don't know anything about the guy. So let me just preface. I have no idea what kind of videos he makes. But as he's a popular YouTuber, I'm going to assume that most of his videos are heavily edited. Of him talking and doing stuff like that. And so, yeah, you know, live performance, live presentations is just a whole different game. And it's just so funny that they think, oh, we'll just hire some big YouTuber guy to introduce our game. It'll be cool. And it's like, no one cares. And it's so funny. It's even more funny because later on in the conference, they brought out an actual actress, you know, someone that knows how to do this, to talk about Star Wars Battlefront 2. She's one of the actresses in the, like, she's the protagonist or whatever of the single-player campaign, and she did an awesome job. She was, like, one of the best presenters ever, which, again, is not saying much for E3. It's just got a long history of really shitty presenters, but yeah, she didn't choke anything, she didn't fuck up too much, she wasn't cringy at all, she was just good. So you could really see the stark contrast. Just hire people like that. I don't know. So yeah, that guy was a highlight because that was funny. What else? The new game from Hazelight, from the guy that made Brothers. Now, I was not as big of a fan as Brothers as apparently a lot of people were. I don't know. I didn't think the gameplay was that crazy. And I know a lot of people love the story, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just a cold, heartless bastard, but I don't think so because I played To the Moon, so I know all about that. Brothers was just like, okay, a brother died. We all knew that was happening, so whatever. I don't know. It just didn't blow me away. I know Total Biscuit said it was like his favorite game ever or something like that. But this new game looks pretty cool. You know, it's about two guys. They break out of a prison. They go out into the wide world, and there's like, they're stealing stuff, and there's like, you know, there's probably going to be this whole crazy story and all that. It looks pretty good. The only thing that is going to make it fail is the fact that it's forced co-op. As in, there's no single-player option whatsoever. You have to play co-op. Which there are other games, of course, that do that, just none of them that do that well. I mean, like Portal 2, you have, obviously, the co-op mode, which I'm playing through right now. But you also have an incredible single player. With just the co-op, I don't think it would have done as well. Shit, that's not what I wanted to do. And I think he wanted to do, his vision was only couch co-op, but that was probably just shot down by EA immediately. So it looks interesting. I don't think it'll actually perform that well as far as sales go. I'm a little surprised that EA would back it as much as they apparently are, but I don't know. I'd like to play it. I would definitely like to play it. It looks pretty good. And then BioWare showed off a tiny little teaser for a new IP, which is pretty exciting. I think it was called Anthem, but don't quote me on that because it was it's like a one-word forgettable kind of name. There's really not much. There's like armored suits. That's all I know. There's a wall. Walls are very in vogue right now. And they said that we'd see more at Microsoft's conference, so we'll see more in 10 minutes. And yeah, and then finally Battlefront 2. But the funniest thing about the Battlefront 2 part is basically there was this strong implication throughout the whole thing where they were basically like, yeah, we know we kind of fucked up with Battlefront 1. And that's why we're trying to get Battlefront 2 out as fast as we can, and hopefully you think it's better. That's basically what they were saying the whole time. They brought in apparently a lot of like top, I don't know, top Battlefront 1 players to try the new one and give a lot of feedback for the game and stuff like that. And it's always like such a nice thought, right? You know, when you're a fan of the series, you know, if you're a fan of a series, you probably have some opinions about the series, I would think. And you know, I've done it many times. I've done it many times when I'm playing a game where I would be like, you know, why would they do this? You know, what was their thought process when putting this in or doing it this way or whatever, or not having this? You know, what were they thinking? You know, if I was there, I could just tell them straight out, don't do this, you know? And so it's always a nice thought that, you know, they actually bring in gamers. They actually bring in just fans and have them try it out and have them just tell you what's wrong or what's right and blah, blah, blah. And then you fix it based on what gamers want. It's a nice thought, but I don't know if it ever really happens much at all. We'll see. I don't know if I can really pre-order Battlefront 2. I mean, I definitely got burned on the first one. I played that game for like a day. There was quite a bit wrong with that one. I'd like to say that there definitely seems like improvements. They definitely seem like they listened to some feedback that were problems with the first game, and they fixed it for the second one. It seems like they sorted out the sort of different loadouts and progression and things like that, and it seems like they sorted out the problem with the heroes and all that kind of nonsense. But I don't know if I can really just toss my coin in the hat immediately this time. I'm glad that they have a single-player campaign, and, you know, if the game is even decent, definitely at some point I'll probably pick up the game just for the single-player. But picking up day one just for that and the multiplayer, I don't know. That's a lot more iffy. So, we'll have to see. We'll have to see about that. Other than that, a lot of sports and a lot of bleh. So that was EA. Yeah. So Microsoft might have something to say. I know a big part of their conference today is on the Scorpio, which is their new and improved Xbox One with, you know, proper hardware for 4K and maybe VR and blah blah blah. But to be honest, that doesn't interest me in the slightest, because as far as I know, there are not going to be any Scorpio only games, right? So anything that comes out on Xbox One, you can play on both. It's just it'll look better and run smoother on the Scorpio, I guess. But what they need first is games. That's pretty important. They could come out with like some 16-core dual Titan X system for $200, but if you don't got any freaking games, I don't really give a shit. So the games are really why I'm watching the conference. I can skip over the whole Scorpio thing. And they definitely need some games, because I haven't touched my Xbox One. Oh, boy. I'm looking at my shelf for Xbox One games. The only thing I see on my shelf over here is Rock Band 4, which that can't be, I don't know. I don't know if Jesus, what was the last thing I played on it? Because everything else is like, I mean, Titanfall 2 I would have got on it, but it was on PC. And so I bought it for PC. Why not? I mean, what do they got here? Gears of War 4? No. Halo 5? No. There's just a lot of, like, non-exclusives. I know some people say, oh, exclusives are bad for the industry. You know, we don't want exclusives. Things should be available everywhere. And I guess that's probably true. It just means there's absolutely no incentive for me to own an Xbox One ever. At all. So, that could all change in about 5 minutes. So, well, it won't change in 5 minutes, but something could happen in 5 minutes. We could find out some stuff. But I guess that's about it. So yeah, check out the Grey Jedi video on the Exploring series tomorrow. On this channel, of course, I have one dungeon crawl video coming out Tuesday or something like that, and then I've got 6, I believe, Disgaea 5 videos that'll be spread out throughout the next few weeks. I'm gonna try to do Hanging with Mangg every Sunday that I'm gone. Which I come back on a Sunday, so I think it might only be 2 foreign Hanging with Mangs, which shouldn't be a huge problem. They'll probably be fairly short, I think, but we'll see. And yeah, I guess that's about it. I'm definitely gonna miss my home, miss my cats, miss my comforts, but I guess you gotta go on an adventure sometime, and this will definitely be one. So yeah, I mean, I'm a little nervous, of course. There's a lot could go wrong on the trip. You know, those countries I'm visiting are a little turbulent. I've never been on a plane before. There's the whole German thing situation. A lot could go wrong there. But a lot could go right, and it could be a lot of fun, very exciting stuff, so we'll get to it. So, next time you hear from me live, I guess I will be in, I might be in, no, I think I'll still be in Paris. Yeah, I'll be in Paris. Crazy. Alright, so my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I will hopefully see you fine folks next week.